Hi everyone, I'm Johnny, and today we're taking a look at episode 9 of Band of Brothers titled Why We Fight. This episode will be a complete change of pace from the others, with much of the fighting behind our paratroopers, who now find themselves in Germany, a place of surprising comfort and little fighting. Episode 9 will offer a unique juxtaposition. The first half of the episode is light, optimistic. Many of the men are now feeling like they will survive the war. Some, like Captain Spears, are now even more focused on looting than fighting the war, while others are taking an interest in German women. It's unknown if Captain Spears took to looting, but looting was common when America first entered Germany. The Americans were heavily discouraged from looting in nations they were liberating, such as France and Belgium, so many Americans were eager to loot once in Germany. Weapons were the greatest collector trophies, as American troops were authorized to seize them, and Germany has a history of well-crafted hunting rifles and the like. The 101st Airborne in this episode are making their way through southern Germany, where they will eventually be headquartered at Landsberg near Munich. Along the way, they evict Germans from their homes or establishments, often with just a few minutes' notice, and they use these homes as needed. Easy Company was primarily staying in small towns, untouched by war, and did indeed often find themselves as comfortable as back home. One officer who didn't have it so well during this time was Captain Nixon. Nixon completed a jump separate from the 101st as an observer during Operation Varsity, the airborne crossing of the Rhine. He was one of the few men of the 101st to earn 3 combat jump stars on his jump wings. During Operation Varsity, Nixon's plane took a direct hit, and only he and 3 others survived. Nixon further receives news after rejoining the 101st that his wife is divorcing him. But don't feel too sorry for Nixon. He reportedly had an affair with a British woman in England. Many of the occupying soldiers felt mixed emotions about the Germans. The large majority of German civilians would deny Nazi association, an absurd thing when a nation is in a state of complete transformation and total war, involving every man, woman, and child. Even Winters wrote about feeling an anger towards the Germans, after witnessing the destruction they had caused in the occupied West. Winters actually wrote he felt a sense of justice in seeing the destruction of the larger German cities the 101st traveled through. Other paratroopers like David Webster, who were seemingly unsure of what they were fighting for, would find out in the second half of the episode.
Interrupting our lives for what? You ignorant, servile scum! What the fuck are we doing here?
Kaufering was a system of 11 subcamps of the Dachau concentration camp. Shown in the episode is Kaufering Subcamp 4, housing some 3,000 prisoners. The discovery of the camp completely changes the mood of the episode, and immediately answers questions many of the paratroopers had as to why they were fighting. The actual discovery and liberation of this specific camp was done by 12th Armored Division April 27, 1945, with the 101st arriving the next day. But this liberty is forgivable. It makes the discovery more powerful to be seen from characters the viewers know, particularly Joseph Liebgott, a German-speaking Jew. Also of interest, the 522nd Field Artillery Battalion, consisting of Japanese Americans, also participated in liberation of the camp, though the episode simply doesn't have time for such details. Though the camp itself, including the forcing of civilians to bury the victims, is very accurately depicted, Band of Brothers frequently tries to replicate details as closely as possible, such as the marching of thousands of German surrendered soldiers on the Autobahn, shown here in the episode. The liberators found over 500 charred corpses when they arrived at Kaufering 4. Many people at Kaufering 4 were sick with typhus and starving. Adding to the tragedy, the Americans could not immediately remove the prisoners. It took time to set up their medical treatment and organize food and shelter. Prisoners had to remain on site for several days, with their food intake monitored. Refeeding syndrome occurs if you give a starving person too much food too quickly, disrupting their blood plasma and electrolyte balance, leading to death. An interesting fact, many of the extras playing the camp survivors were cancer patients undergoing treatment. liberating forces managed to save half of the 30,000 inmates at the Kaufering subcamps. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thank you for watching. This is a very important episode and one that really gives meaning to the suffering all the men experienced in the episodes prior. Join me in the next episode, the final episode where the men get to have a little fun capturing the Eagle's Nest. Do take care and have a nice rest of your day.